Now, because the soul, which is potentially the desire to receive for the sake of sharing, the soul, has not become fully manifested, as the Zohar explains in Parshat Tazria, that's in Leviticus. If you want to review it in the Zohar, even in the English Zohar, I'll just give you, because I don't want to discuss that at this point. That still has to deal with Brit Milah. I believe. Yes, chapter 12. Leviticus, chapter 12. Vayikra, Parshat Tazria. He explains it more fully. But I'm merely giving you a summary of what the Zohar says. It takes 30 days for the soul to acclimate itself, to become, we might say, almost as one unified whole with the body. Because you have to understand, there are two opposing forces at work here. You have the soul, whose internal characteristic, internal energy force is the desire to receive for the sake of sharing. That is the soul that emanates directly from Ein Sof. And then you have an equal opposite effect and internal character called the body, which is the desire to receive only for oneself alone. So there are two forces here that must ultimately merge one with each other. Two opposing forces. It takes 30 days, says the Zohar, until these two forces merge.
But the number 30 means, I'm sure it does mean something to you.
Yes, I said that is fully explained in the Zohar, and I don't want to devote that aspect. I'm telling you only when it says that Pidyon HaBen cannot take place before 30 days, and you remember I told you that is one of the prerequisites. Why 30 days would be our question. The answer is because the soul has not become manifested, has not merged itself with the body, and therefore it is not a workable force in that body. And therefore, if we did Pidyon HaBen, and we don't even know what that means yet, but we do know it means bringing life, bringing the life force as a prevailing force in this Bechor, firstborn. Remember, we are now not only dealing in this firstborn male with a soul who has not become merged and manifested in the first 30 days with the body. So we have three factors here we're dealing with in a male firstborn child. We are dealing with the factor of being a male, the soul entering. We are dealing with a negative energy intelligence called the body. And because up until 30 days, these two forces have not merged into one unified whole, the prevailing and dominant force is the internal energy force of the body. The body has similarities with the satanic and demonic intelligences. So while the Brit Milah has removed the Orlah, that total embodiment, it still can leech on and latch on to this child, because the force of the soul, while at the 8th day it has become settled into the body, it has not become merged. And if you recall now, when we discussed circumcision, and we asked why 8th day and not 7th day, not 6th day, and why is it so necessary as early as possible? In other words, not the 18th day, or not the 11th day if it's on a Sunday, or not the 6th day if it's on a Sunday, but the 8th day, because we said the soul does not become manifest. Now, there is a difference between becoming manifest and merging with the body. The soul, after 7 days, has become manifested in this living entity called a male child. But from the 8th day until the 30th day, it has not merged. It is not influencing the physical, corporeal energy intelligence of the body. They are two separate entities. When we did the Brit Milah, we removed the Orla, we removed the highest form of embodiment of demonic and satanic intelligences. Now it's outside, not inside. It's not part of this child anymore. That's what circumcision accomplished. However, that in no way, because the mezuzah is there, if the mezuzah falls down, the fact that I had the mezuzah there yesterday doesn't mean that today, if the mezuzah is no longer there, that he can't come in. He didn't disappear from the world. I kept him on the outside. So he's on the outside. But that doesn't mean that every opportunity that presents itself, he won't make an attempt to come in. That's what happens with male child. That while the circumcision has been accomplished, it doesn't say that the satanic intelligences no longer exist in the world. That's not true. And because the soul has not merged yet, now I say in the 7 days it became manifested in the body, but it has not merged with the body as two parts of one whole. The body is not under the influence of the soul. Therefore, it is a channel, and it can be a channel for the next 23 days or 22 days by which satanic intelligences can latch on to this entity, this child. Is that clear?
The cryptex is one of the reasons.
That is one of the reasons. This is the explanation. This is what's happening. Now, how do I know this is what's happening? No medical detection devices that have already been brought to the forefront in high tech can establish this kind of intelligence. There is no detection devices available to feel things of this nature. The Zohar says it. That's how I know.
What security system can be set up for the baby in the first 30 days in the crib?
Put the Zohar, first of all, there. Secondly, take the red ribbon. We can do to prevent this. Make sure that you choose, I've never said this before, but make sure that the one performing the circumcision not only knows how to cut, but also knows what he's doing. Because if you don't drive away with a consciousness of driving away that satanic intelligences, you haven't driven him away. And what an injustice, the parent. But the parent didn't know. Well, you know what happens? You know the epitaph of the fellow who always crossed the street on a green light? Always crossed the street on a green light. One day, there was a big tractor trailer coming down, and it almost appeared as if his brakes had failed. But he crossed the light, because the light was green. So on his grace, they wrote, "Herein lies the man who was never wrong." It didn't take that long. Unfortunately, the fact that people are ignorant doesn't keep it, I mean, he didn't know the brakes failed, but he's right. That doesn't make it right.
Rob, can you use the same analogy for this Ashdik, because the Shafaz is fair if she, the Chinese and demonic may clinch on him also?
Absolutely. It's the Talmud, it's the Zohar. The higher one reaches, the higher levels of consciousness that a Tzaddik reaches, the Satan is stronger. Why is he strong? What is he going to be busy with the little crumbs? He's after the big fish. It's an old story, and it's true.
If he nourishes from the positive energy?
If he can get a hold of it. So there are some satanic intelligences that go after the big fish, knowing that it's a tougher battle. And some, just latch onto the little crumbs.
First you got little crooks, you got small time crooks.
You have the big time crooks, and you got the little ones. The big ones know that it's involving more. It's of a more serious nature. The crime is of a more profound. That's right, but
White collar.
okay.
At which point is the child given a free choice? Is it after the Brit Milah, after the Pidyon?
Child is given no free choice until the age of male 13, female of age 12. Yes, Oli.
You were saying that, isn't it that the greater the force of life, the natural thing is there must be a great force of darkness?
That's what the Talmud and the Zohar state all the time. That's exactly the point David has made. What's that? I'm going to try to cover it all in this session. We got more point. Yes, sir.
That's the reason why the Levite children don't have a Pidyon.
Right? Don't let me forget. And George didn't let me forget about the 5 shkalim. No. Okay, yes.
What about the second male child? Is he also a channel for...
Yes. He does not have that force of light that... Now, remember we said about the big criminals, the more profound, the more advanced, experienced criminals. You have the little ones. Now you have all levels of intelligences in every phase, whether it's evil or it's good. Right? There's tzaddik, higher level of consciousness. There's a less tzaddik, lower levels. When the Zohar says that we are dealing with binding the firstborn to life, it is because that's where the danger lurks more. Second children are so deadly. The chances of second children, chas v'sholom, dying is less. It's always with the firstborn that the danger is always greater. Because it is the beginning. Now, does that mean for a second male child we do not have to do circumcision? No, all of those parts begin. But Pidyon HaBen is no longer required because the big fish, the big ones, didn't connect where they're only looking for the big fish, the firstborn. Okay? All right, the seed. Okay, now, getting back to, since it's Shavuot, and that maybe we need another session on Pidyon HaBen, but at least we understand that this Pidyon HaBen and all of its implications and all of the ceremonial aspects to it, which are obviously not for ceremonial purposes, but how we can connect to a force that is going to bring life. And so every opportunity that one would have at the right Pidyon HaBen, and we are going to have one shortly, and we will announce it publicly that everyone can participate. Someone who did not have a Pidyon HaBen, he just left, he had to go away. We are going to participate because that is the equivalency, the Sudah. Now, I know in Shari Zion they don't have a Sudah, they don't have the meal after because it's important, the ceremony. One of the greatest travesties that I've seen in Judaism. The Sudah, the meal that follows, is where you draw your energy, not the ceremony. So if you're late for the ceremony, never worry about it. Make sure you're there, and make sure you can wash for bread for the Seudah. And not for the ceremony. You can skip the ceremony if you have to. Be there too. I'm not saying skip it consciously, but don't leave after the ceremony because you've blown it. You've blown the whole thing. All right? What?
The Brit Milah is the same?
Same thing. Now, while at a Brit Milah, the force The positive force, or that force that directs itself against negative energy intelligences of satanic and demonic intelligences, the Brit Milah is considered to be 40 days of fasting. That's how powerful a Brit Milah is. 40 days, the equivalency of fasting 40 days. Literally.
For the person who comes to himself.
The one who participates in the Seudah, the meal. And of course we're assuming that it was the right mohel, the right individual who performed the circumcision. We're also affirming that this one who knew what he should be doing. We also know that obviously it's on the right day. There are very strict laws. Like there are very strict laws in physics, there are very strict laws in what the cosmic code of the Bible is presenting. It's not, you can do it this way, that way, this way, or that way. When you're dealing with an atomic reactor, they don't send in people who are unfamiliar with what goes on there. Well, what's the difference which valve he turns? No, we're dealing with high power energy. Now, if you're not dealing with high power energy, then you can have anybody. But if you want something that is going to furnish you with a high-powered energy force of 40 days of fasting. Now, before we conclude tonight, I just want you to know that the Sudar of a Pidyon HaBen, the redemption of the firstborn, is 84 consecutive fast days, which is a physical impossibility, incidentally, to fast 84 days consecutively. Now, one day, the Sharuch HaKodesh, which is only reserved for the select few, that's the Ari's compilation of how you can take care of every form of ailment and every form of sickness and all this and that, but that's only for the select few. Of course, I have transgressed it's one of the sins I have committed by providing everybody in the street with the book, you see. But I wasn't the one who started it, so my conscience is a little cleared. But I am accused of giving you this kind of information. But in any event, I want you to know it's 84 fast days. But make sure. What's that?
Would the effect be the same if an adult had a young Ben?
Absolutely. I said we're going to have one here shortly.
Right. Now, what happened? I mean,
why didn't his father?
No. The fact that it's necessary to do it within after 30 days.
No, it must be done after 30 days. 30 days. But the fact that it was not done, right, and I'm going to come to that, and most Jews, firstborn sons, in this present day lifetime of ours, have not had Pidyon HaBen, redemption for it. He is being affected, and he is affecting and contaminating without even knowing the entire cosmos. And that is one of the direct results and one of the direct contributions to all of the misery and whatever else is going on in this world.
So are we to assume, sorry, just one small one, that between day 1 and day 8, that this particular child is not under the influence of the cosmos?
Absolutely is. I didn't say it wasn't.
No, I'm deducting, because if we're not choosing the day, cosmically speaking,
no,
the day was chosen.
No, 8 day, we explained that in Brit Milah, and I can't go over that.
No, I'm just making the difference between the 30 days, after 30 days.
The first 7 days is where the soul becomes manifested. From the 8th day until the 30th day, to be merged as one unified whole with the body, that requires from day 8 onwards until day 30.
No, my question is that it's Pidyon, you can choose a good day.
The Pidyon is going to be on the 30th day, and as soon as the 30th day arrives, do it. Even at night. Okay?
If Pidyon HaBen was done and was not done perhaps the way it should be done, should it be done again?
Absolutely. Now the question is making a bracha and so on. That is an individual question that should be answered individually. What's that? Yes. I have an occasion where I have done another Brit Milah. Well, I won't go into why I did it. Yes. Yes, if we understand the seriousness of what we're talking about, the answer is yes. Now, obviously, you can't cut the foreskin in off again, because there's no longer a foreskin, but there's something called hatafat dam brit, whatever that means. But again, that's an individual question, but I'm answering your question to the affirmative, yes. And therefore, the question of Pidyon HaBen, how it was done, is also yes. It could be done wrong. Okay? Now, so therefore we understand why it must be the 30th day.